The lights of Helios 7 station flickered in the darkness of space like a small city suspended among the stars. Taeyang stood near the observation window of the market district, watching ships come and go. He had been on this station for 2 months now, taking odd jobs from alien merchants and traders. His clothes were worn, his savings nearly gone, and his hope of getting back to human space was fading with each passing day. 3 years had passed since the colony ship he worked on exploded. He still did not know why. One moment he was repairing an engine in the maintenance bay, and the next moment he was floating in an escape pod, watching his entire world turn to dust and fire. The rescue ship that found him was not human. It was Vrelian, a species of tall, blue-skinned traders who brought him to the nearest station and left him there. Since then, Taeyang had been trying to survive in a galaxy that barely knew humans existed. He turned away from the window and walked through the crowded marketplace. Aliens of every shape and size moved around him. Some had scales, others had fur. Some floated, others crawled. He had learned to stop staring months ago. Now they were just people trying to live their lives, same as him. "You are the human," called Taeyang. The voice was soft but clear. Taeyang turned and saw her for the first time. She was tall and elegant, with pale silver skin that seemed to glow slightly in the station's artificial light. Her eyes were large and completely black, like pools of deep water. She wore robes of dark blue that moved around her, as if blown by a wind that did not exist. "Yes," Taeyang said carefully. "Who is asking?" "My name is Yuna. I represent the Caliph Empire." She tilted her head slightly, studying him. "I have heard that you are a survivor. That you can work in places where others cannot. Is this true?" "Summer." Taeyang shrugged. "I do what I need to do." "What kind of work are you offering?" "Walk with me," Yuna said. "This is not a conversation for the marketplace." They moved to a quieter section of the station, entering a small private meeting room. Yuna sat down with perfect grace, her hands folded in her lap. Taeyang remained standing, his arms crossed. He had learned not to trust too quickly out here. "My people are telepaths," Yuna began. "We speak mind to mind. We feel each other's thoughts and emotions across great distances. It is how we have built our empire. How we connect. How we love. Do you understand?" "You can read minds," Taeyang said. "Not exactly, but close enough." Yuna's black eyes studied him. "We have a colony on a world called Ashara 9. It is a mining world, rich in resources, but something has gone wrong there. Our people cannot use their telepathy on that planet. They are cut off from each other. Isolated. Alone. For us, this is like being blind and deaf at the same time. Many are going mad. Some have already died. What does this have to do with me? We have sent our best scientists to investigate. They cannot function there long enough to find the cause. The pain of being cut off from the mental network is too great. We have hired other species to help, but they have found nothing." Yuna leaned forward slightly. "I need someone whose mind works differently. Someone who does not depend on telepathy. Someone who is already used to being alone." The words hit harder than Taeyang expected. Used to being alone. Yes, he was that. "What exactly do you want me to do?" he asked. "Go to Ashara 9. Investigate what is blocking our telepathy. Find the source. Report back to me. That is all I ask. One thing. Just one simple task." "Nothing is ever simple," Taeyang said. "How long do I have?" 30 days. After that, we will evacuate the colony and abandon the world. Too many have suffered already." "And the payment?" Yuna named a sum that made Taeyang's breath catch. It was enough to buy passage back to human space with plenty left over. It was more money than he had seen in 3 years. "Why so much?" he asked suspiciously. "Because no one else can do this," Yuna said simply. "My people are desperate. I am desperate. This mission is important to me personally. If it succeeds, my position in the diplomatic corps will be secure. If it fails..." She paused. If it fails, I will lose everything I have worked for. My rivals will use this disaster against me. Taeyang studied her face. Even though she was alien, he could see the tension in her posture, the worry in those strange black eyes. She was gambling on him, a human she had never met before. Why trust me? He asked. Because I have reviewed your records. You survived alone in a damaged ship for 17 days before rescue. You have worked in toxic environments, hostile stations, and dangerous conditions. You adapt. You endure. You solve problems. Yuna stood up, moving closer to him. And because you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, that makes you reliable. Taeyang thought about it. 30 days on a hostile world, investigating something that had stumped alien scientists. It could be dangerous. It could be impossible. But the payment would change his life. He could go home. He could stop running. I will do it, he said. But I need full access to all your research data. Everything you know about Ashara 9. Every failed investigation. I want complete information. You will have it, Yuna said. She extended her hand in the human custom she had clearly researched. Do we have an agreement? Do we have an agreement? Taeyang shook her hand. Her skin was warm and smooth. Not cold as he had expected. We have an agreement. Good. Yuna released his hand. A transport leaves for Ashara, 9 inches 2 days. Use that time to prepare. Study the data I will send you, and Taeyang. She paused at the door. Come back alive. I do not wish to explain to the Galactic Trade Council why I sent a human to his death. I will do my best, Taeyang said. After she left, he sat alone in the meeting room for a long time. The data package arrived on his personal device within minutes. He opened it and began to read. Colony reports, telepathic frequency measurements, medical records of Kalith miners going insane from isolation. Mining surveys. Environmental scans. Somewhere in all this information was the answer. He just had to find it. Taeyang looked out the small window at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there was Ashara 9, a world that drove telepaths mad, and he was going to walk right into it. He smiled slightly. After 3 years of running and hiding and surviving, it felt good to have a real purpose again. Even if it might kill him. The next 2 days passed quickly. Taeyang gathered supplies, studied the data until his eyes hurt, and prepared himself mentally for what was coming. When the transport finally arrived, he boarded without looking back. Yuna was not there to see him off. She could not go to Ashara 9 herself. The telepathic silence would destroy her. As the ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, Taeyang closed his eyes and thought about her final words. Come back alive. It was not just a professional concern. He had heard something else in her voice, though he could not name it. He would complete this mission. He would find the answer. And then, finally, he could go home. The ship raced through the dark toward Ashara 9, carrying one human and a mystery that had defeated everyone else. Ashara 9 was an ugly world. Taeyang could see that from orbit as the transport descended through thick yellow clouds. The surface was covered in rocks and dust, with massive electrical storms crackling across the northern hemisphere. The mining colony sat in a valley between 2 mountain ranges, protected from the worst of the weather by natural barriers. The transport landed on a crude metal platform. Taeyang grabbed his equipment bag and stepped out into the thin, cold air. The gravity was slightly heavier than Earth standard, and he felt it immediately in his legs and back. He would need a few days to adjust. A Kalith stood waiting for him near the platform's edge. The alien looked terrible. His silver skin had turned dull gray, and his large black eyes were unfocused. He moved like someone who had not slept in weeks. You are the human, the Kalith said. His voice was flat, empty. I am Do-hyun, colony administrator. Come. I will show you what you need to see. They walked through the colony in silence. The buildings were simple, prefabricated structures, designed for function rather than beauty. Everywhere Taeyang looked, he saw Kalith stumbling around like ghosts. Some sat alone in corners, rocking back and forth. Others stared at walls with empty expressions. A few were strapped to beds in the medical center, screaming silently. "This is what happens when we lose the network," Do-hyun explained. His voice never changed tone, as if emotions had been stripped away. "Imagine if you could never speak again. Never hear another voice. Never feel another person's presence. And you had lived your entire life surrounded by thousands of voices, always connected, always together. Then suddenly, nothing. Just silence. Just yourself. Alone." Taeyong understood isolation better than Do-hyun knew. How long have they been like this? The effect starts within hours of arriving on the planet. The longer you stay, the worse it becomes. "Some of my people have been here for 6 months. They are beyond help now, even if we take them away. Then why not evacuate immediately? Politics. Resources. Pride." Do-hyun stopped walking and turned to face Taeyong. This colony was supposed to prove that Kalith could expand into difficult regions. If we abandon it, we look weak. Other species will take advantage, and the resources here are valuable. The corporation that operates the mines does not want to leave. "What corporation?" "Viridian Mining Collective. They are a partnership between several species, not Kalith. They manage the actual extraction, while we provide the labor and oversight." Do-hyun pointed to a large complex on the colony's edge. "They have their own section, their own medical facilities. Their people do not seem as affected, though none of them are telepathic species." Something about that bothered Taeyong, but he could not identify what. He filed the information away and focused on the immediate problem. "Show me the mines," he said. The mines descended deep into Ashara 9's crust. Do-hyun led him to the main entrance, a massive tunnel carved into the mountainside. Heavy machinery sat idle around it. The Kalith workers had become too unstable to operate the equipment safely. "The deeper levels are where it is worst," Do-hyun said. "Our scientists measured the telepathic interference. It is strongest near the newest excavation sites. That is why they believe something in the planet itself is causing the problem." "Has anyone gone down there recently?" "The corporation's people. They have special equipment, they say. They still extract resources from the deep levels." Do-hyun handed Taeyong a mining map. "This shows all the tunnel systems. The red areas are the deepest excavations. No Kalith has been there in 2 months." Taeyong studied the map. "I will need access to everything. All levels. No restrictions. You will have it. The corporation will not like it, but Yuna's authority supersedes their preferences." At the mention of Yuna's name, Do-hyun's expression shifted slightly. It was the first emotion Taeyong had seen from him. "You know her?" Taeyong asked. "She is my sister," Do-hyun said quietly. "She arranged for me to lead this colony. It was supposed to be my chance to prove myself worthy of our family's name. Instead, I have failed her. I am the reason she must gamble her future on a human stranger." The pieces clicked together. This was not just a political mission for Yuna. It was personal. Her brother's failure would become her failure if Taeyong could not solve this. "I will find the answer," Taeyong said. He did not know if it was a promise or a wish. He spent the rest of the day preparing. He gathered environmental suits, scanning equipment, and recording devices. That night, he reviewed all the scientific data again, looking for patterns others had missed. The next morning, Taeyong descended into the mines alone. The upper levels were normal. Rock walls, support beams, evidence of standard mining operations. But as he went deeper, following the map to the red zones, things changed. The rock itself seemed different. It had a strange shimmer to it, almost metallic. His scanning equipment started giving unusual readings. Then he found the first sign of the problem. In the deepest excavation tunnel, the walls were covered in a mineral he did not recognize. It was dark, purple, almost black, and it seemed to pulse with a faint inner light. His scanner went crazy when he pointed it at the mineral. The radiation it emitted was unlike anything in the database. Taeyong took samples and continued exploring. The deeper he went, the more of the strange mineral he found. In some places, Entire walls were made of it. The corporation's mining teams had been deliberately targeting these deposits, extracting them and shipping them off-world. He found shipping manifests in a supervisor's office. The mineral was being sold as exotic matter for high prices to research facilities across the galaxy. But nowhere in the records did it mention the telepathic interference. Nowhere did it mention what this mineral did to Caliph. They knew. The corporation knew, and they did not care. They were making too much money. Taeyang gathered all the evidence he could find. Records, samples, communications between corporation officials. He documented everything with his recording equipment. This was not just a natural phenomenon. This was deliberate exploitation. On his 4th day in the mines, they came for him. He was in a deep tunnel, collecting more samples, when he heard the footsteps behind him. He turned and saw 3 armed figures in corporation security uniforms. They were not Caliph. One was Vrelian, one was Talrexi, and one was something Taeyang did not recognize. "You need to leave now, human," the Vrelian said. His weapon was already drawn. "This area is restricted. I have full access authorization from the colony administrator," Taeyang said calmly. "Your authorization means nothing here. Drop your equipment and come with us." Taeyang's mind raced. They were not just going to escort him out. He had found their secret, and they could not let him leave with the evidence. In the cramped tunnel, he had no room to run, so he did not run. He dropped his sample case, and as the guards moved forward to grab him, he activated the emergency mining charge he had taken from a supply room. It was not much, just enough to crack rock for easier extraction. But in a tunnel, it was enough. The explosion knocked everyone off their feet. Rock and dust filled the air. Taeyang rolled to the side, grabbed his case, and ran deeper into the tunnel system. Behind him, he heard shouting and weapons fire. For the next 6 hours, Taeyang played a deadly game of hide-and-seek in the mines. He used every trick he had learned in 3 years of survival. He knew they could not collapse the tunnels without destroying their precious mineral. That gave him room to move. He found a maintenance station with communication equipment and transmitted everything he had to Yuna's encrypted channel. All the evidence, all the samples, all the data. Even if they caught him now, the truth would get out. The final confrontation happened near the surface level. Taeyang was exhausted, injured from a fall, and cornered in a storage room. 5 corporation guards surrounded him. "You have made a very expensive mistake, human," one of them said. Before Taeyang could respond, the wall exploded inward. Caliph's security forces poured through, weapons drawn. At their head was Do-hyun, looking more alive than Taeyang had seen him. "Drop your weapons," Do-hyun commanded. "You are all under arrest for conspiracy, exploitation, and attempted murder." The corporation guards hesitated, then surrendered. Taeyang slumped against the wall, his whole body shaking from adrenaline and exhaustion. Do-hyun walked over to him. "Yuna received your transmission. She has already filed charges with the Galactic Trade Council. Ships are coming to shut down the corporation and evacuate our people." "You did it. You actually did it." Taeyang closed his eyes. "Good. That is good. Can you walk?" Do-hyun asked. "In a minute. Just let me sit here for a minute." But it was more than a minute. The injuries and exhaustion caught up with him, and Taeyang's world went dark. His last thought before unconsciousness took him was of Yuna's face, and whether he would ever see it again. Taeyang woke slowly, consciousness returning in pieces. First came sound, a gentle beeping somewhere nearby. Then came sensation, soft sheets against his skin, and the clean smell of medical equipment. Finally came sight, and he opened his eyes to see a white ceiling above him. He was not on Ashara 9 anymore. "You are awake. Good." He turned his head carefully and saw Yuna sitting in a chair beside his bed. She looked exactly as he remembered. Elegant in her dark blue robes, her silver skin glowing softly in the gentle light of the medical room. But something was different about her expression. She looked tired. No, more than tired. She looked like she had been worried. "How long?" Taeyang's voice came out rough and dry. 3 weeks, Yuna said. She poured water from a pitcher and held the glass to his lips. You had internal bleeding, broken ribs, and severe exhaustion. The doctors said you should not have been able to do what you did in the mines. They said a human body should have failed under that stress. Taeyang drank the water slowly. Doctors do not know everything. Clearly. Yuna set the glass down and studied his face. You completed the mission. More than completed it. You exposed a conspiracy that reached across 4 star systems. Viridian Mining Collective has been dissolved. Their executives are facing trial. The Kalith colony has been evacuated, and all the workers are receiving treatment. The mineral you discovered has been classified as a restricted substance. And you? Taeyang asked. Your political position? For the first time, Yuna smiled. It was a small expression, barely there, but it changed her entire face. I have been promoted to Senior Ambassador of Interspecies Relations. The Council recognized that hiring you was not a desperate gamble, but a brilliant tactical decision. I now have authority over all first contact and integration protocols for non-telepathic species. Congratulations, Taeyang said. He meant it. I could not have done it without you. Yuna's smile faded, and she looked down at her hands. I watched the recordings you sent. All of them. The investigation, the discovery, the fight in the tunnels. I saw you nearly die. Multiple times. And I realized something while watching. What? I realized that I was not worried about the mission failing. I was worried about you dying. She looked up at him. Those dark eyes. Intense. And searching. That is not normal for me. I do not form attachments to assets. I do not lose sleep over hired contractors. But I have been here every day since they brought you in. Every single day. Sitting in this chair. Waiting for you to wake up. Taeyang did not know what to say to that. He had spent 3 years alone. Depending on no one. Wanted by no one. The idea that someone like Yuna had been waiting for him felt impossible. The payment, he said, changing the subject. Was it transferred? Yes, plus a significant bonus, plus compensation for hazard duty and medical expenses, plus a commendation from the Kalith Empire. Yuna reached into her robes and pulled out a data chip. Everything is on this. You have more than enough to buy passage back to human space. You can go home now. You can leave all of this behind. She held the chip out to him. Taeyang stared at it, but did not take it. I have been thinking, Yuna continued, her voice careful and controlled. You are wasted doing random jobs on Helios 7. Your skills, your resilience, your way of thinking, they are unique. Valuable. I need someone like you working with me. Someone who can go where telepaths cannot. Someone who sees problems from a completely different angle. You are offering me a job? I am offering you a partnership. Yuna set the data chip on the table beside his bed. Work with me. Help me build bridges between species who think in fundamentally different ways. You would have full diplomatic protection, access to resources, and a purpose beyond simple survival. Why? Taeyang asked. You already got what you needed from me. Because while you were unconscious, I realized something else. Yuna stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the stars beyond. As telepaths, we take connection for granted. We are born into a network of minds. We never have to wonder what others think or feel. We just know. But with you, everything is different. I cannot read your mind. I have to actually talk to you. I have to choose to communicate, and somehow, that makes every interaction more valuable, more real. She turned back to face him. When I sit in a room full of telepaths, I am never alone, but I am never truly present either. We all blend together into one consciousness, but when I sit here with you, I am completely present, completely focused. It is frustrating and difficult, and She paused, searching for words. I find that I prefer it. I prefer choosing to connect, rather than being automatically connected. Taeyang sat up in the bed, ignoring the pain in his ribs. You are saying you want me to stay because talking to me is different? I am saying I want you to stay, Because I value what we have begun to build. Yuna walked back to his bedside. I requested one thing from you. Just find the source of the interference. But you gave me so much more. You gave me justice for my brother. You gave me proof that humans are more capable than most species believe. And you gave me a new way of seeing connection itself. And wow, she sat down in the chair again, closer this time. I am asking you to consider staying. Not forever, if you do not wish it, but for a while longer. We can work one mission together. If you hate it, you still have all the money. You can still go home. But I think we could do important work together. And I think... She hesitated. I think I would regret it if I did not at least ask you to stay. Taeyang looked at her face. Really looked at it. He saw hope there. And uncertainty. And something else he could not quite name. In 3 years of running from his past, he had never thought about what he was running toward. He had only wanted to get back to human space, to familiar faces and familiar ways. But what was waiting for him there? He had no family. His friends from the colony ship were dead. He would be just another survivor, one of thousands scattered across space after their ships had failed. He would be nobody. Nothing. Alone again. Here, with Yuna, he was somebody. He mattered. He had a purpose. One mission, he said finally. We try working together for one mission. Then I decide. Relief washed over Yuna's face, and her smile returned, wider this time. One mission. That is all I ask. She stood up and extended her hand in the human custom. Taeyang reached out and shook it, feeling the warmth of her skin against his palm. I should let you rest, Yuna said. The doctors want you to stay here for another week at least. But I will visit again. We can start planning our next steps. Yuna, Taeyang said before she could leave. Why did you really sit here for 3 weeks? She stopped at the door and looked back at him. For a moment, her perfect diplomatic mask slipped, and he saw raw honesty in her expression. Because the idea of you dying alone, without anyone there who cared, was unbearable to me, she said softly. No one should die alone. Not even a human I barely know. And somewhere during those 3 weeks, I realized you were not a human I barely knew anymore. You were someone I was choosing to care about. She left before he could respond, the door sliding shut behind her with a soft hiss. Taeyang lay back against the pillows and picked up the data chip. All that money. All that freedom. The ticket home he had been working toward for 3 years. He set it down again and looked at the empty chair where Yuna had been sitting. Every day for 3 weeks. Waiting. Choosing to be there. Maybe home was not always the place you came from. Maybe sometimes it was the place where someone chose to keep you by their side. Taeyang closed his eyes and, for the first time in 3 years, smiled. He would stay for one mission. And then, he suspected, he would find reasons to stay for another. And another. Until staying stopped being a choice and started being simply where he belonged. The medical monitors beeped steadily in the quiet room, measuring a heartbeat that had found a new rhythm, a new purpose, and perhaps the beginning of a new home. 6 months had changed everything. Taeyang stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Time's Quiet Dawn *, watching a destroyed cargo ship drift through space ahead of them. It was the 5th one this month. And each scene was the same. The crew was alive but not really living. They sat at their stations with blank eyes and slack faces, their minds trapped somewhere far away. Same as the others, Yuna said beside him. She was studying a scanner display, her expression grim. All species affected. Telepaths and non-telepaths alike. Whatever did this, does not discriminate. They had been working together since Taeyang left the medical facility. One mission had become 2. Then 5. Then a permanent partnership. The Caliph Empire had given them a ship and a mandate to investigate interspecies incidents. Yuna handled the politics and diplomacy. Taeyang handled the fieldwork and investigation. They made a good team, a better team than Taeyang had expected. Let me board her, Taeyang said. I will check the ship's logs and examine the crew. Be careful, Yuna said. It had become her standard phrase before he left the ship. She said it every time. And every time it sounded like she meant it. Taeyong suited up and crossed to the damaged cargo vessel. The airlock opened easily. The ship still had power, still had life support. But no one was flying it. He made his way to the bridge and found the crew exactly as the scanner had shown. 6 beings from 3 different species, all sitting frozen like statues. He checked their vital signs. Alive, breathing, hearts beating. But their minds were gone. The ship's logs told a strange story. The crew had been traveling through normal space when something hit them. Not a physical weapon. Some kind of energy pulse. The logs showed a massive spike in neural activity across all crew members at the exact same moment. Then nothing. Just silence. Taeyong downloaded all the data and returned to the Times Quiet Dawn asterisk. Yuna was waiting in the analysis room, surrounded by holographic displays of previous attack sites. Look at this, she said, highlighting a pattern on the star map. All the attacks follow a line through space. They are not random. Someone or something is moving in a specific direction. Toward what? Taeyong asked. Toward the Galactic Council headquarters, toward the heart of civilized space. They spent the next week chasing the attacks, always one step behind. Each destroyed ship brought them closer to understanding the weapon being used. It forced minds together, Yuna explained. It took the consciousness of every being in range and smashed them into a single overwhelming experience. Telepaths experienced it as a million screaming voices. Non-telepaths experienced it as suddenly being aware of thoughts that were not their own. Either way, the result was the same. The mind could not handle it and simply shut down to protect itself. It is a weapon designed to force unity, Yuna said one night as they reviewed the data. Whoever created this believes they can end conflict by ending individual thought, make everyone part of one consciousness, and there can be no disagreement, no war, no suffering. Only no freedom either, Taeyong said. No choice, no self. Exactly. It is madness disguised as peace. Their investigation led them to a rogue research station on the edge of explored space. The station was old, abandoned by its original owners decades ago. But someone had recently reactivated it. Energy signatures showed massive power usage, and the attack patterns all originated from this location. This is the source, Yuna said. We need to get inside and shut it down. We should call for backup, Taeyong suggested. By the time backup arrives, they could launch another attack, possibly a larger one. Yuna looked at him seriously. We have to do this now. Together, they approached the station carefully. There were no defenses, no warnings, just an open docking bay. It felt like a trap, but they had no choice. They docked the Times, Quiet Dawn Times, and entered the station together. The interior was a maze of corridors and laboratories. Old equipment sat covered in dust, next to newer machines that hummed with power. They found the central control room after an hour of searching. A single figure stood before a massive array of controls, their back to the entrance. Welcome, the figure said without turning. I knew someone would come eventually. I am Hyun. Taeyong felt Yuna go completely still beside him. Brother? She whispered. Hyun turned around, and Taeyong recognized the face from Ashara 9. This was Do Hyun's brother, Yuna's other sibling. But something was terribly wrong with him. His silver skin had turned almost white, and his eyes had a fevered gleam. You fixed Ashara 9, Hyun said to Taeyong. You saved my brother. I watched the recordings. I saw how well you worked together, a telepath and a human. It inspired me. It showed me the solution to everything. What solution? Yuna asked, her voice shaking. The problem of separation, of isolation, of minds that cannot understand each other. Hyun gestured to the equipment around him. I have created a way to force understanding, to make all minds connect, whether they wish to or not. Imagine it, sister. A galaxy where everyone understands everyone. No more war. No more hate. Just unity. Pure unity. You are causing minds to shut down, Taeyang said. Those crews are not unified. They are destroyed. Temporary side effects. Once I perfect the process, everyone will adjust. They will thank me for freeing them from the prison of individual consciousness. Hyun's hands moved across the controls. I am preparing the final version now. One pulse strong enough to reach every inhabited system. In 3 hours, I will activate it, and this galaxy will finally know peace. You will kill billions, Yuna said, stepping forward. Please, Hyun. This is not the answer. You are not well. Let us help you. Help me? Hyun laughed. A terrible sound. I am the only one who sees clearly. I spent too long studying telepathic networks, sister. I have seen what real connection looks like. I have felt the edges of the great unity that awaits us all. You cannot stop this. No one can. He activated something on the control panel. Taeyang felt a sudden pressure in his head, like being underwater. Beside him, Yuna screamed and collapsed to her knees. A small demonstration, Hyun said, just to show you what is coming. The pressure built. Taeyang could feel something trying to force its way into his mind. Thoughts that were not his own. Feelings from Yuna, from Hyun, from machines and the station itself. It was overwhelming, crushing, impossible. But Taeyang had spent 3 years alone. He had learned to survive in isolation. And now he learned he could survive in the opposite condition too. He focused on one single thought. One single memory. The first time he met Yuna in the marketplace, her voice, her exact words, he held onto that memory like a lifeline. The pressure eased slightly. He could think again. He could move. Taeyang reached for Yuna, pulling her up. Through the mental noise, he felt her mind brushing against his, panicked and drowning. He thought about the marketplace memory as hard as he could, thought about her words, her presence, that one simple moment. Yuna's eyes focused on him. In the chaos of 1,000 screaming minds, she found his one calm thought and grabbed onto it. The controls, she gasped. We have to destroy the controls. But Hyun stood between them and the equipment, and the mental pressure was getting worse. Taeyang's vision blurred. He could not fight while his mind was being torn apart. Then Yuna did something Taeyang did not expect. She reached out and took his hand, squeezing it tight. Think of the marketplace, she said. Keep thinking of it. Be my anchor. I will handle my brother. She released his hand and walked toward Hyun, her steps shaky but determined. You are right, brother. Connection is beautiful. But you are wrong about how to achieve it. Real connection is not forced. It is chosen. Hyun's hands moved across the controls, intensifying the pressure. You cannot stop this. Yuna, even if you destroy this station, I have transmitted the plans to others who believe as I do. The unity will come, one way or another. Perhaps, Yuna said, but not today, and not this way. She lunged forward, grabbing Hyun's arm. There was a flash of telepathic energy, so intense that even Taeyang felt it. Yuna was forcing a connection with her brother. A deep and complete one. She showed him everything, every moment, since Ashara 9. Every conversation with Taeyang. Every time she chose to connect, instead of being automatically connected. She showed him what real relationship looked like. Built, word by word, and choice by choice. Hyun screamed and pulled away. But the damage was done. His certainty had cracked. His madness had doubt in it now. Taeyang took advantage of the distraction. He dove forward and smashed his fist into the main control panel. Sparks flew, alarms blared. The mental pressure vanished instantly, leaving silence. Hyun collapsed, weeping. Yuna knelt beside him, her own face wet with tears. I am sorry, brother. But I could not let you destroy yourself and everyone else. Security forces arrived 10 minutes later, summoned by the station's distress signal. They took Hyun away for medical treatment and psychological evaluation. The weapon was dismantled. The crisis was over. Taeyang and Yuna sat together in the Time's quiet dawn times afterward, neither speaking for a long time. Finally, Yuna said, "You saved me in there. When the weapon activated, I was drowning. But your mind, your single focused thought, it gave me something to hold on to." "You saved me too," Taeyang said. "If you had not shown Hyun the truth, I could not have reached the controls." Yuna looked at him. And for the first time, Taeyang saw his own feelings reflected in her expression. "We make a good team," she said softly. "Yes," Taeyang agreed. "We do." And in the quiet of the ship, somewhere between the stars, two beings from different worlds understood that they had found something neither had been looking for, not just partnership, not just friendship, but the beginning of something deeper that neither could quite name yet. 1 year after their first meeting, the Time's quiet dawn times drifted peacefully through space near a beautiful nebula. The colors of gas and dust painted the viewports in shades of purple, blue, and gold. Inside the ship, Taeyang was making dinner while Yuna reviewed reports at the central table. "The council has approved our proposal," Yuna said, looking up from her display. "The Bridgers program will begin next month. 20 human-alien teams, trained to handle situations where single-species approaches fail. That is good news," Taeyang said, bringing 2 plates to the table. He had learned to cook meals that both humans and Kalith could enjoy. It had taken time, but he liked the challenge. "More than good. It is revolutionary." Yuna accepted the plate with a small smile. 1 year ago, most species barely acknowledged humans as sentient. Now, because of what you did on Ashara 9, because of what we have done together, humans are being recognized as having unique psychological strengths. You should be proud. Taeyang sat down across from her. "We did it together. I found the problem. You solved the politics. That is how we work." They ate in comfortable silence. Over the past year, they had learned each other's rhythms and habits. Taeyang knew when Yuna needed quiet to process information. Yuna knew when Taeyang needed to move and work with his hands. They fit together in ways that surprised them both. "We received a new assignment," Yuna said after finishing her meal. "A human colony has made first contact with an unknown species. The initial meeting did not go well. Both sides are scared, and tensions are rising. The council wants us to mediate. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning." "But Taeyang," Yuna hesitated, which was unusual for her. "This will be your first time back in human space. Since the colony ship, your first time among your own people." "I have been thinking about that." Taeyang set down his fork and looked at her carefully. "What have you been thinking?" "That perhaps once you are among humans again, you will want to stay. That this past year has been just a temporary arrangement while you found your feet. That I have been." She paused, searching for words. "I have been keeping you from going home. You think I have been waiting to leave? I do not know what you have been waiting for. We have never talked about it." Yuna's black eyes met his. "When we started working together, you said one mission. Then it became many missions. But we never discussed what comes next. I did not want to assume. I did not want to pressure you. But now we are going to a human colony, and I realize I do not know if you will come back." Taeyang leaned back in his chair, studying her face. In the soft light of the nebula, she looked both beautiful and vulnerable. He had learned to read her expressions over the months, the small shifts that most others missed. "Do you want me to come back?" he asked quietly. "Yes." The word came out instantly, with no hesitation. "I know it is selfish. You have your own life, your own people. You should be free to choose your own path. But yes, I want you to come back. I want you to stay. I have wanted that for longer than I have been willing to admit." "Why?" Yuna stood up and walked to the viewport, her hands clasped behind her back. "Because you are the only person in the galaxy I have to choose to connect with. Every conversation we have, I choose to have it. Every moment we spend together, I choose to be present. With my own people, everything is automatic. Thoughts flow without effort. But with you, I have to work for it. I have to try. And somehow that makes every word, every gesture, every shared silence more valuable than 1,000 telepathic conversations. She turned to face him. You make me better at being myself. You challenge me to think differently. You give me a perspective I could never have alone. And somewhere over this past year, I stopped thinking of you as my partner and started thinking of you as— She struggled with the words. As the person I want beside me. Not because I need you for missions. Not because you are useful. But because when you are not here, I notice your absence like a missing piece of myself. Taeyang stood and walked to join her at the viewport. They stood side by side, looking out at the nebula together. I had a dream last month, he said. I dreamed I was back on Earth, in a city full of humans. I was surrounded by familiar faces, familiar language, everything I thought I wanted, but in the dream, I was searching for something. I was looking through crowds, checking every street. And when I woke up, I realized what I had been searching for in the dream. What? You. I was looking for you. Even in a dream of home, you were what I needed to find. He turned to face her. Yuna. I stopped wanting to go back to human space about 3 months into our partnership. I stopped thinking of this as temporary around the same time. I have been waiting. But not to leave. I have been waiting to see if you felt the same way I did. And how do you feel? Yuna asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I feel like home is not a planet or a species anymore. It is you. It is this ship. It is the work we do together. It is every conversation we choose to have, and every silence we choose to share. Taeyang reached out and took her hand, as he had done in Hyun's station. I am not going to stay with the human colony. I am going to help them, and then I am coming back. Because this is where I belong now. Yuna's fingers tightened around his. Are you certain? You would be giving up your own people, your own culture. I am not giving them up. I am choosing something else, someone else. He smiled. Besides, the Bridgers program will bring more humans into space. I can be part of my culture while also being part of something new, something we are building together. For a long moment, Yuna just looked at him. Then she did something she had never done before. She stepped closer and rested her forehead against his. A Caliph gesture of deep affection and trust. I do not know what we are, she said softly. You are human. I am Caliph. We cannot connect the way my people do with each other. But somehow, what we have feels more real than any telepathic bond I have known. Maybe that is because it is real, Taeyang said. Maybe connection is not about reading minds. Maybe it is about choosing to understand someone, even when it is difficult. Especially when it is difficult. They stood like that for a long time, foreheads together, hands clasped, watching the nebula's colors shift and change outside the viewport. The next morning, they set course for the human colony. The journey took 4 days. When they arrived, Taeyang was surprised by how little he felt. These were his people, speaking his language, living human lives. But he did not feel the pull he had expected. He did not feel like he was coming home. He felt like he was visiting. The mediation went well. Taeyang understood the human concerns, and Yuna understood the alien perspective. Together, they built a framework for peaceful communication. They stayed 2 weeks, long enough to ensure the agreement would hold. On their last night at the colony, a human woman named Mireille approached Taeyang at a gathering. She was young, bright-eyed, full of dreams about exploring space. Is it true you work with a Caliph? She asked. What is it like? I have heard telepaths are impossible to read. It is different, Taeyang said. But good different. You learn to communicate in new ways. You learn to choose your connections instead of being born into them. That sounds lonely. Taeyang thought about Yuna, waiting for him back on the Time's quiet dawn asterisk. He thought about their conversations, their partnership, the way she looked at him when she thought he was not watching. It is not lonely at all, he said. It is the opposite of lonely. It is finding someone who chooses to keep you by their side, not because they have to, but because they want to. That is worth more than any automatic connection. Mireille smiled. You really love her, do not you? The word surprised him, but he realized it was true. Yes, he said simply. I do. When he returned to the ship that night, Yuna was in the observation room, watching the stars. She turned as he entered. How did it go? She asked. It went well. I said my goodbyes. We can leave whenever you are ready. Are you certain? You could stay. Taeyang walked to her and took both her hands in his. My life is not here. It is with you. It has been for a while now. I was just too scared to say it out loud. Scared of what? Scared that you might not feel the same. Scared that I was reading too much into our partnership. Scared that a human and a Caliph could not really build something lasting. He squeezed her hands gently. But I am done being scared. I choose you, Yuna. I choose this life we have built. I choose to stay by your side, for as long as you will have me. Yuna's eyes shimmered with emotion. I choose you too. I have been choosing you every day since Ashara 9. I will keep choosing you every day after. She pulled him close, and they held each other in the quiet of the observation room. Outside, the stars spun on in their eternal dance, but inside the time's quiet dawn asterisk, two beings from different worlds had found something that transcended biology and culture and the vast distances of space. They had found home in each other. The ship left the human colony the next morning, jumping into faster-than-light travel toward their next mission. Taeyang sat in the pilot's chair, while Yuna reviewed diplomatic protocols beside him. They worked in comfortable silence, as they had done 100 times before. But now the silence was different. It was not just professional. It was personal. It was chosen. It was filled with all the things they no longer needed to say out loud because they both already knew. Halfway through the journey, Yuna reached over and placed her hand on Taeyang's arm. He looked at her and smiled. Where to next? He asked. Wherever we are needed, Yuna said. Together. And that single word, together, was all the answer either of them needed. The time's quiet dawn times raced through the stars, carrying two beings who had found what every sentient creature searches for, a place to belong, and a person who chooses to keep them close. Not because of telepathy or obligation or shared biology, but because sometimes the strongest connections are the ones we build, one choice at a time, one conversation at a time, one shared silence at a time. She had requested only one thing from him that first day in the marketplace: to find what her people could not see. He had given her that and more. He had given her a new way of understanding, connection itself, and in return, she had chosen to keep him by her side. Not as a tool, not as a curiosity, not as a temporary solution, but as the person she had learned to love, one deliberate choice at a time, and that, they both knew, was the best kind of home there was.